This is Wholesaling Houses Elite, the no fluff and BS podcast with tips and tricks to help you become an elite wholesaler. Our guest will spill the beans on what it takes to be the best.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Before we get started on today's podcast, I want to introduce you to today's sponsor. It's yellowletterhq.com. Now, I'm going to say it very slow so you can write it down. yellowletterhq.com. If you're doing direct mail, this is a no-brainer. They're number one in customer service. They get their letters out absolutely fast. And I personally know the guy Todd over there, and he's awesome. So if you're doing direct mail and you want innovative postcards and mailers that work, make sure you go visit yellowletterhq.com and enjoy this podcast.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Wholesaling Elite Podcast. This one is a little special. I know I say that every time, and I say that every time. But here's why. Say what's up to everybody out there in YouTube land. This podcast is actually my first podcast in the office live. So like there's another human sitting in front of me. We're not separated by thousands of miles and the internet. He's right in front of me. And this time I am with my homie, lifelong friend, my brother, Tony the Closer Robinson. And you guys probably just know him as the Closer. This is special, man. So Tony, say what's up.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Max, thanks for having me on the podcast, man. Excited to be here.
So this is going to be a little different because he don't be out here talking in front of all these people and on these podcasts and on these things. But I wanted to introduce you guys formally to him. You may have seen him on my Instagram or a couple snippets there or maybe on a YouTube channel for a second. But, man, me and this dude has been friends since I don't think it's 9, 10 years old. We played Pop Warner football together. We lived in the same neighborhood, all types of stuff. So we've been around each other for a long time. I'm excited to have him here. He's obviously in the business of real estate, and more importantly, he's in the business of sales. He's been kicking things all over. But before we get into that, man, what's up with you? What's been up? How's things been going?
Man, this is crazy, man. Obviously, we just finished up with Wholesale Elite Live 18. Wow.
That's all I can say. If you weren't there, I'm sorry for you.
Yeah, that event was literally amazing, man. You did a heck of a job with putting that together. But obviously, thank you for having me on the podcast. We obviously go back to Pop Warner football and long time friends. Man.
Way back.
This is really, really cool and exciting to do this right now.
So yeah, this is crazy. So I've had a lot of people in the podcast. I didn't want to do this podcast over the internet through Skype or Zoom or anything. I want to do this person to person. Why? Because this is my homie. He's right down the street. So I got to do this live. So you're able to, if you're watching this on YouTube, you see it's new. Everything is new in here. And if you're just listening to this on podcast land, you're right in front of us. But man, let's get into things, man. Like a lot of people know my story as far as like how I started when I was broke and all that stuff like that. A lot of this, they don't know the journey that you and I went through growing up and even in our adult life being broke. So kind of like tell the quick story of kind of how we've been around.
Yeah, man, it's kind of one of those stories that you typically don't have happen where people be friends from literally Pop Warner football all the way into business, man. So Max and I have literally took a journey of failure. We just failed our way until we tried to find something that worked. Fail into success is essentially what we did. And so my journey is I played collegiate football, and then I had aspirations of making it to the NFL. And Max was actually pretty intriguing part in that process. Excuse me. So I was trying to get into the NFL, and Max actually put together my highlight tape, and we started doing stuff crazy from the beginning, man. We were doing like skip traces before there was skip tracing. So we found out all the NFL execs, where they were at, how to get in contact with them, and we literally went back and made a highlight tape and sent it to every one of them with the colors and the envelopes and all that stuff to actually get me a job. So Max was my first agent, kind of, sort of.
I was the agent without the agent. I was an undercover agent.
Yeah, man. We worked our way all the way into having the opportunity there. So friendship has just been crazy long. I actually lived in Max's basement. So I got out of college and I was living in Max's basement until I got that job, man, which is pretty cool, man. So we just been showing love to each other forever.
And the basement wasn't ugly or nothing. I mean, it was a nice basement, but it was still a basement.
It was a basement that was finished with an air mattress. We lived big.
big time. It was finished, right? I haven't slept in an unfinished basement, but I know there's people out there that have. So now fast forward. Let's talk about this NFL career. You got your dream. Boom, what happened?
Man, I end up getting cut. I got hurt and got cut.
Yo, that's the fear of every NFL player is you're going to get cut. So you get cut. Now your dream, what happens? You keep trying to get in the NFL?
Man, I actually had a weird story. So after I get cut, I did obviously some rehab for a while, and I was deciding if I was going to keep beating up my body or if I was going to do something different. And I actually ended up going to buy a vehicle. And when I went
a Lamborghini?
Nah, man, it was a Corvette, actually.
Okay.
So I go to buy a Corvette, and my sister was working at a dealership, and then she ends up telling me how she was doing well and making some money. And I was broke as I don't know what at the time. So I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go try this stuff out. Get into the car business. In the very first month, I sold 23 and a half cars, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is going to be good for me.
So wait, your first month in, you did what?
23 and a half cars, yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Is that because explain that, because 23 and a half cars is almost a car a day. How are you doing that?
I was consistent. I was at the dealership from beginning to end.
Yeah.
I worked hard. So I had a lot of success just failing forward. I literally just outworked the competition. Everybody that was there, including some of my fellow coworkers, I was taking their deals too. So I was getting deals from everywhere.
So you were hungry, basically.
Extremely hungry.
You needed it.
Yeah.
You wanted it.
Yep.
And then I think even more important, you went after it. You didn't, like, your first month in the car. So what is, as a rookie salesperson coming from the NFL, do you remember what your first check was out of that thing?
I made $10,700.
Yeah. So your first check, he grind his whole month, $10,000. I mean, for me, that's a lot of money. So I'm thinking, like, you got to continue this success. When did you, so at that point, you knew that you were good at this?
I knew that I could make money at it.
Yeah.
I wasn't good yet.
Yeah.
And most of the people at the dealership actually gave me a lot of crap because I was selling a lot of cars, but I wasn't making a lot of money.
So you were like, so you were, it's like you were doing a lot of deals, but you were leaving money on the table.
Leaving a lot of money on the table. I didn't really understand the process or the psychology. I was just getting in front of people. Mm-hmm. So as that process went along, start trying to learn how to get, better with handling objections and rebuttals and not just giving away my money, but actually having some validity to back myself.
See, I didn't know that, guys. Believe it or not, I didn't know that. I knew how many cars he sold, but I didn't know that after you sat back and look at it, you were like, yo, that wasn't a lot of money for all the work I did because you left money on the table with your negotiating skills.
A ton of money on the table.
Got it. So now they say, okay, you did a good job. You can stay here. What made you better?
Wanting to be better. I just basically took the mentality I had in football, which was, hey, look, people are saying things to me. I'm a perfectionist. I want to be better at it. And what I did is I started listening and writing down everything the clients would say to me.
Yeah.
So if I had something I couldn't handle, I'm writing it down. How can I say that handle that objection better next time was literally my approach. So I started taking my little journal. I literally took it and wrote down on a blue envelope every single objection I got every single day.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, man, how can I handle that better? How can I do this better? And what happened is I started programming myself expecting what the client was going to say. I knew they were going to tell me the price was too high. I knew they were going to tell me I wasn't giving enough for the trade. So I started being prepared for it.
So this is the same thing we do in this business. There's only certain amount of things they can say, right?
Yeah.
So if you go into a fight knowing when they gonna throw what punch with what hand.
Hey, look, you got an edge.
So you can counter punch now.
You're ready to bob and weave, and I basically put myself in the mindset of, hey, look, you have to, if you want to make the most money, you don't want to be here, because what I did in the beginning is I worked my butt off. I was working 12 hours, 14 hours every day to make 10 grand, which yes, it was a lot of money. But when I start watching the other guys that were doing well, it was
probably half of the deals, but making
the same amount of money.
Yeah.
So yeah, I start factoring that into how I was working. And the next thing you know, I was making 25, 30 grand a month. And that's when it became fun. So
you realized quickly that I need to do something because I can get in front of people, right? So I think that's a lot in this business too. A lot of us can get into front of sellers. We can get in front of sellers, but then you either walk unsatisfied or you leave money on the table. And it's a simple thing. One thing about this business is you get a lot of people start this business and they hear that $10,000 number. And I'm guilty of saying it a lot too. It's like, oh yeah, get the deal. So, you get a deal, it's $10,000. I think that's just, we've been trained. A lot of people we heard from, that was a good deal. So you go into that deal with the mindset of $10,000, right? So you are saying, hey, listen, if I make 10,000, I'm good.
Right.
But the reality, you could have made like 17.
Right. You're leaving a lot of money on the table, and that adds up if you're doing volume.
Yes.
So if you do 10 deals by a year and you're leaving $7,000, that's $70,000.
Think about just your first month in the car business, 20 something cars. If you just earn an extra $1,000 a car, that's an extra $20,000.
What I try to do is I try to make it simpler than that. I try to make an extra $500 a car deal.
Yeah.
And I broke it down to, hey, look, how can I get an additional, $500 a car? And I took that mindset just in my negotiation process. I wasn't giving the money away right away. So I actually, because people naturally complain when you give them numbers, no matter where you are.
Even if you started low, they're going to go lower.
If you gave them everything that you thought it was worth at the beginning, they're still going to ask for more.
Yeah.
So I started asking for higher numbers.
Yeah.
So, hey,
naturally.
Let me just, if you're going to ask me for a discount, I'm just going to make my price higher, and then we start a negotiation from a higher point.
Yeah. I mean, that just makes so much sense. So now you're successful in the car business. You start to move forward. What do you do after you're successful at the dealership you're at?
Man, so it was pretty crazy. So basically, I went on about a 3-year run where I was the top salesperson in the company.
Yeah.
Literally doing 300 plus cars a year. And I was working maybe 6 to 8 hours a day. I had streamlined my business because I knew exactly referrals, everything, how it was going to come to me. I wanted to make $20,000 a month. That was my goal. I would do that, and I'd be in Vegas by Saturday afternoon.
That's the truth. He's not lying about that. I remember him. I thought he had a house in Vegas. It was just at the hotel.
Yeah. So going into that process, I was doing well, and I was crushing the numbers, and I got an opportunity to actually run a store. Mm-hmm. So I get moved to Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, and I'm like, dear God. And at the time, it was the largest tornado to ever come into the city. It's EF5, my first week in the business. I'm like, okay, it's time to go back home.
It's time to leave.
Yeah. Well, this deal that we picked up was actually an underperforming Buick store, which they were selling 6 cars a month as a dealership. And I'm like, dude, 6 cars? Like, there is no way. I do that as an individual.
Yeah, on a week.
Yeah, I'm like, that's a terrible number. So basically, I get into this dealership and implemented some of my sales process that I did. And at this point, I'm actually running the store. And we take that store from the bottom store, obviously in the state, until we took the number 1 spot in the Southeast,
wow.
which is very cool. So we were doing 50 new and 50 used with a Buick store, which is amazing.
People still buy. I mean, now people buy Buicks, but back then, Buick
you got to imagine.
sell.
You got to imagine how hard it is to sell a Buick because you're dealing with a different client. It's typically a person that's 45 or up. Mm-hmm. I went from a Chevy product where, it's probably 19 to 25. It's easy to sell a Chevy. Everybody wants to buy those. Right? Yeah. The Camaro was coming out. The Equinox was just dropping. The Corvette's there. Man, we got to sell a Buick LaCrosse and a Buick Enclave.
I mean, they better now. They get better now. But.
Yeah, it will test your sales skills, and you better believe that the people that have earned their money for a long time, they try to protect it. So an older client was what really made me know that I was definitely a closer.
Yeah. So that's when you test. So that was like me when I started in this business. I did a lot of cold calling. And then when I got money, I started to try to do mailing. And then I was subsequently started still doing more cold calling. And I proved myself at scale that cold calling was just ROI. So you went to that store and said, listen, if me, big black Tony Robinson, the closer, can go to Alabama and sell these cars, these Buicks, to these people out here that were selling, the elderly, and they trust you and use your tactics, then you was like, okay, I got something here.
Yeah, and one of the big things for me that really changed the game for me is I wanted to be in front of people. Mm-hmm. And what that meant is, like, a lot of other salespeople try to negotiate over the phone. Mm-hmm. It was like the biggest thing to me is like, hey, look, let me get these people in front of me where they can like me. And if they tell me no, I got a chance to be able to swing again and again. I didn't want to have just one shot. Because a lot of times you get one shot on the telephone. Like the guy say, hey, give me your best number, your best shot. And then basically at that point, you're just a number.
So tell me why you don't like new real estate investors, wholesalers to negotiate over the phone? Like, what's your principle behind that? Because I do it some in the office, you know that, but I'm obviously not new. Why do you think it's a disadvantage for new people?
I just think that when you're already uncomfortable negotiating, that you need to be in front of people, because most people are likable. People like people.
Yeah.
So I tell people, use your personality. Let's make it less about the actual property and make it more about, hey, the person and the solution that you're actually trying to help them with. So I literally just say, hey, get in front of as many people as you can as you learn this business. Getting in front of people and talking about everything but the home. Talk about, hey, beautiful earrings, nice house. I noticed that you have a fishing rod there. Are you a fisher? Make it about everything but that.
So building rapport.
The rapport building is everything.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, I agree with that. You know, a lot of newbies, not saying deals can't be closed over the phone, because my absolute first deal was closed over. Well, I negotiated a number on the phone. But it's true. You need to get in front of that person, because it gives you a more opportunity to actually swing the bat more, I guess you could say.
You're getting more chances to swing. And another thing, you can absolutely close deals by negotiating over the phone.
I mean, you teach that. I know you teach that, but you're just saying for new people.
Just for newbies. For one, I say, hey, look, a lot of people say, hey, am I wasting my time by going on an appointment?
Never.
If you have an opportunity to make $5,000 to $10,000+, it's an opportunity to refine your skill set, learn how people are going to talk to you, be comfortable walking into a foreign house. So these are things that you need to know when you go into a property.
And I think going out on appointments builds your tough skin up. It allows you, once you get comfortable in person, then over the phone starts to become easy, because it's easy for somebody to hang up the phone on you and never get you. Once you got them in front of you, set that appointment, even if you know that appointment is not gonna turn out to be something, you never know. Because I'll be honest with you, I have been on the phone with people, literally the ugly house. You guys may know that from the vlog. The ugly house, the lady wanted $100,000. That's what she quoted me over the phone. She would not move. I said, Francis just booked an appointment because she owns it free and clear. We got to the house. We got it for $53,000. We just finished that flip. God, it took so long. We sold that flip in 4 days. But the point is, if it was just over the phone, I probably would have been shut down. Especially as a newbie, you would have froze up.
And then most newbies, when they hear a number, that number gets programmed in their head.
Correct.
There's no negotiating for them at that point. They're they're afraid that, man, it's not a deal.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many DMs I get on a daily basis. Hey, the seller just gave me an outrageous number. What should I do?
Go to the appointment.
Go meet them. Even if you feel like it's a waste of your time and you're 150 grand
If you're
away.
just beginning, it's not a waste of your time. I mean, you should go out.
Yeah, because one of the most important parts of it is what we miss is, hey, we say that person might want that 100 grand now. The follow-up things change every single day.
Big time.
Every single day.
I have bought a house from follow-up a year later.
A year.
A year. I swear, it was a lake house in Baden Lake. Things have changed for her and her family. She now wanted, it was a house they weren't using. We were about $10,000 apart before. Now we came together. I mean, it was a cheap house, but now we came together. She called me. She looked me up. I called her. We had communication. I knew she knew that I was still interested a year later, and she said, "Things have changed. There's some medical issues in my family. I want to take your offer that you gave me last year." And I took it. We went and bought it in a week. It was done.
You know, the crazy part about follow-up is literally the best game changer. I tell people all the time, you increase your sales right now by 30% by just following up. The lead that didn't sound like a lead, it'll instantly grow. Your whole business will grow just by follow-up. You can't. No deal is dead until they actually sell that
It's
home.
a policy in my office, you know that, to go back and go through the old leads.
Yeah, you got to do it.
Because it's just money sitting in the bank.
You got to do it. It's gold mine.
It's literally a gold mine, because you've already shifted out.
I took a mindset of being like when you want something bad enough, you'll do whatever for it. So I literally took every customer, if they came in that place and told me they had an interest in buying a vehicle, that person was going to
my funnel. You're going to my follow-up.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Until I call and get I purchased somewhere else, that dude was going to get a call. If it took me 9 months, 10 months, he'd be like, dude, I'm just going to come do business with you because I'm tired of hearing you calling.
Because what could that one phone call be worth to you?
It's a couple grand.
Exactly. And that's what I try to tell people in this business. People say, how many calls does it take for me to get a lead?
As many as it takes.
If I sat you down and said, I'm going to pay you $10,000 to make phone calls, how many phone calls you going to make?
Hey,
you're going to burn.
Till my fingers bleed, baby.
Yeah, you ain't going to be able to read the numbers on the keypad the way you do it. So you're in Buick, you're doing well. Do you continue to grow that Buick dealership?
Well, as the Buick dealership's growing, I got that entrepreneurial kick in me, man.
Yeah.
I saw the money that I was able to put on a Buick store from
Generate
the
for
bottom line.
somebody else.
Yeah, and I was like, hey, look, this paycheck doesn't match what I'm putting on the numbers for you guys, so I got to go out and do my own thing. So I started my own car business, and things were going well for a while. Then it failed.
Failure is so important, though.
Man, I hated it because it was like my first big one. You don't know how to run a business for your first time. You think you know everything. I knew how to run a store, but I had a whole lot of help with the group I was working with. But hey, look, it didn't work out that way when I actually was doing it by myself. So the business didn't do well, and it failed.
Well, I think failure is important. I think a lot of people know about like my success as of recent, but they don't know a lot of the stuff that I've done in the past. I tried car dealership. That didn't work. That was a blown $30,000-$40,000. I've had restaurants, some well, some failed. I've had it. I've had a company called American Notary Solutions, where we were a marketplace for notaries to go sign documents. I've had it all.
Yeah.
I've failed so much until I got to this point, and I still fail every day, just small failures. It just doesn't do it. So now you got into real estate, one, obviously because your father is a beast in real estate.
Yeah.
You started to more focus on the sales sides of things. You started because at these dealerships you started training people, right?
Man,
Other salespeople, right?
So basically what I was doing is I was taking salespeople and giving them basically my little journal. I had a journal I put together of how I was doing deals. And I was like, hey, man, I wanted to grow a whole bunch of people that had that mindset of, hey, look, you attack each customer like obsessively until they buy, period. So I started taking that and I was training guys and I was getting repeated success over and over again. And I started thinking like, man, this is crazy. Like I'm really giving this thing like a blueprint on how to actually close a deal.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
And the psychology that goes behind dealing with customers and sellers at this point.
Literally the first thing I did when I got into business was put myself in the mindset of the person that was consuming.
So that makes total sense. You recognize you had a skill, is repeatable, you were able to teach it to people. And as of recently, how long ago, you wrote a book, first of all. You wrote a book called, it was 21 Proven Secrets, right?
Yeah, man. Wow. That has been overwhelming. Obviously,
I hear about it every day.
Man, that book is nuts. The first day it launched, it was like 300-400 copies sold. I was like, holy smokes, man, what is going on?
So you took your time to write a book of what you already had in your head and what you were teaching everybody out there in car land,
right,
on how to be more psychology. Now you said, let me take the time to put this down, and you went in dark mode and you created this book.
Yeah, man. I first thing I did was I started to really try to focus on mindset, right?
Mm-hmm. That's a big thing for me over the last 2 years too. Was mindset.
It was completely obviously I had went through some personal demons. Mindset was all I thought of every single day. So I was working on, hey, look, how do you get to where you want to be at the quickest way? Mm-hmm. And a lot of us it's so simple. It's just like we got to correct our mind. So I put a lot of focus. My first thing I put, and one of the first secrets I talk about in the manual is, hey, look, you got to fix your mindset.
So the book is called The 21 Proven Secrets. Tell me why you chose 21. Were you just writing and then that you just got done at 21?
No, I probably have a whole lot more. So I was actually doing a brain dump, getting ready for the Wholesale Elite We Live 18.
Wow, that's all I can say about that.
Every time I think about it, I still get chills, man. But I was trying to put together the best content to be able to say, hey, look, for newbie wholesalers coming into the game, what would I say? Or maybe I was thinking 10 at first. I was like, nah, I got so much I want to give. Mm-hmm. So I was like, let me just lock it in at 21. And the 21 literally became some of the top things I knew I did daily. But it was really 20, but I added one, which was the mindset.
The most important one.
The most important one was the mindset.
Because you're not ready.
Yes.
I think we talked about this at the conference in front of 430 people. I said, before we get started, the first half a day is going to be about changing your mindset. Because I can tell you how to do this all day long, but if you are not ready to receive this information or ready to actually change your life or believe what I'm about to say is actually possible, there's no need for us to go on from day 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah, so I knew it was a major point where a lot of people had like a fear of the phone. There's a lot of anxiety about being in front of sellers. A lot of people haven't had that sales experience. So I was like, hey, let me kind of focus on the things I know that I struggle with walking into the game. So I just try to give a shortcut for every single person that's coming in that's new, that has no sales experience. Mm-hmm. Even if you do have sales experience, I got action steps and things that you can take that'll actually help you implement right now in your business, and you can grow right now.
Yep.
So the whole focus of what I want to do is give people an idea that maybe they thought of, but they're actually not doing daily. And a lot of this stuff is simple.
Yeah.
So I just put it in paper where you can see it. Take action steps every day. Hold yourself accountable.
Tell me your top 2 or 3. I'm putting you on the spot. Tell me your top 2 or 3 secrets right now.
Number 1 always is going to be mindset.
Yeah.
If we fix the mindset, everything else will fall into place.
Yeah.
Number 2, follow up. Follow up, follow up, follow up. Most of us get so discouraged when we hear the first no that we just give up immediately.
I mean, yeah, I agree. There's over probably 2,000 leads in my CRM. So I completely agree. Follow-up is so crazy. I push my sales guys to say, listen, you have all these leads in front of you, but the old ones have already been seasoned, bruh. Go pull it out the basket.
Yeah, and the next thing, every single appointment I go to, they get an offer. Mm-hmm. I write up every single person. Hey, look, if it sounds like the number's not going to work, I still write it up.
And what's the psychology behind giving them an offer every time?
Because I'm already there. I got a chance.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving without you at least saying, hey, look, I know you might be 6 to 9 months away from making a decision, but here's what I can do for you today.
How many times can you count that somebody told you no, you made an offer, and you got the deal later?
Man, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Somebody's they're at the beginning of the process. They telling me that, hey, look, they're going to go, they're talking to multiple people. Hey, I understand. I appreciate that. Most of my best sellers start off that way. Mm-hmm. Here's what I want to give you before I go, just so you have some information to judge based off whatever else you get from anybody else.
Yeah, I love that, man. I've read the book. Obviously, I live the book. You're around me every day. All right, so tell me your third actual secret you like the most in the book. What's your third secret you like the most?
Well, it's all about offer every single client.
Yeah.
If you walk into a house, they get an offer. It's non-negotiable.
Now, what's the psychology behind giving an offer every time?
The psychology behind it is very simple. Hey, look, you make it. Oh man, I can't talk right now, but every shot that you take is the only way that you'll have a chance to make the bucket. So I'm literally in the game. I want to be in the game every single time, and I'm literally giving every person an offer because sometimes they tell me they're not interested. They're 6 to 9 months out, and guess what? They end up selling right away.
So tell me, if you could count, how many times have you actually gave an offer and got it back, like got a sale later?
Well, if you want to put auto industry and the real estate game, I'll say hundreds.
Yeah.
Easily. Most people come in and they tell me, hey, look, I just came here just to look. I'm at the beginning of my process. And next thing you know, they're going out with brand new keys or they're handing me over their keys, either way.
Beautiful. So I want everybody to go out and get this book. Where can they get the book at?
Yeah, the book is on TonyTheCloser.com. TonyTheCloser.com.
So TonyTheCloser.com. So you've also been working on something that's crazy, something that I know is going to be a game changer. You've been working on this sales academy that you're going to launch here pretty soon. How many weeks is your set? Tell me more about it.
Yeah, man. So it's the Total Titan Boot Camp. And
Total Titan. You didn't take it Titan from high school. You didn't take the Titan. Okay, I like it. The Total Titan. So Titans was our mascot in high school. He took it way back. I like that. Total Titan. I love it.
Yeah, and basically, you know, everybody knows Titan. It means like strength and being, of amazing stature.
Yeah.
And I wanted to build that with people in the industry.
Yeah.
You know, there's a need. I see it all over the place where people just don't know how to handle the anxiety that they have with talking to sellers and being on the telephone. Yeah. So I put together an 8-week platform of literally getting people's minds right, giving them the ammunition that they'll need to be able to walk into a home with confidence to be able to get the deal done.
Yeah, that makes total sense, man. I see it a lot. I see a lot of new people come in this business that lack the confidence, what to say, when to say it at a house, understanding why people buy, why they don't buy, what's the emotions behind making that decision. So I know this course is going to be a game changer. It's kind of what we use internally already for our sales team. We just package it up and you're putting it out for an 8-week training. Any idea, in time frame when that's going to drop?
Yeah, it's very, very soon now. We look to unroll it before the end of this month. I'm telling you right now, it is an absolute game changer. We're going to put people in positions of power. When you walk into that home, you know you have an opportunity now to walk away with the deal.
Yeah.
I'm going to give some of the best tactics and secrets that I've used to make me hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in the auto industry. And man, we can't even talk about what we're doing in the real estate game right now.
Yeah, so is this going to be on TonyTheCloser.com?
It will be on TonyTheCloser.com. If you follow me on TRob56 on social media, on Instagram, I'll also have more notifications as that comes along. But we're really at the fine tuning part right now of just making sure all the systems can hold it, because every time we do something,
it breaks.
It just breaks.
It breaks.
Yeah.
So I would say it's probably going to be at TonyTheCloser.com/Total Titan. You can get it there, or just simply go to TonyTheCloser.com. You're going to find a link onto that thing right there. I'm excited for other people in the REI space to be able to actually go through a sales training that I know works, that I know that's going to really improve their team, their self. And like I said, I would even buy it so that your team can go through it. If you're literally hiring more people, put your team through this like we do. Every new salesperson gets this, and I'm telling you, it's amazing.
When salespeople have the confidence, you can create longevity.
Yeah.
To build solidarity in your company, you want to have people that have confidence, because if they lack the confidence, they're not going to do the things you expect them to do. They're not going to make the phone calls. They're not going to have confidence to make the phone call.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of anxiety. So they'll fake it till they make it, until they can't actually do it anymore.
And then they're out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So tell everybody where they can find you at. I know you said TRob56. Tell us more. Tell me where we can find you at again.
Yeah, man. I'm on Instagram at TRob56. I just created a YouTube page, Tony the Closer. If you find me on there, Tony the Closer. And then the website, TonyTheCloser.com.
Boom. I love it, guys. I love this. I've been able to do a podcast with my good friend. I really want you guys to go follow him on Instagram. Check out his YouTube page. I'm forcing him to put out more content. Like I said, he's not always in front of all these people, so this is new to him. But man, when it comes to sales, this guy is no stranger. So I appreciate everyone listening to this podcast. If you're listening right now on YouTube, smash that subscribe button. Get the notifications right now. If you're on podcast, do me a favor, because this really helps. I don't care where you're listening to this at, iTunes or Spotify, Chromecast, wherever. I don't care. Rate this podcast. Give me 5-10 stars, as much as you can. Tell me what you love about this podcast. It really helps us in the rankings. It allows us to go up so more people can hear about us. I appreciate every single one of you guys, and I'll see you next time. It's Maxwell. Peace out.
Thank you for listening to the Wholesaling Houses Elite podcast with Maxwell. Make sure to tune in next week to see what elite wholesaler we'll have in the hot seat.